Well, it is really hazy this morning, which is why I'm filming. It's very humid too and hot, 73 degrees. Yesterday it got up to 94, and they're saying it's supposed to get even hotter today. It is June 8th. Now we're here in the backyard. Spin around. From the far back of the near backyard, spin around from the front of the front yard.
Yeah, task call.
Then use MCI 5 cent Sundays. It's just 5 cents a minute every Sunday. AT&T charges twice as much. Dad, just call 1-800-SUNDAY. Become an MCI customer.
Yeah.
We keep you ahead of the storm. The Weather Channel team monitors, tracks, analyzes, keeping you prepared. That's what we do.
The Weather Channel, keeping you ahead of the storm.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
More rain and stormy weather are ahead for the Miami area. We'll see much needed rain coming into parts of the South Florida today. But in the Northeast, record-setting high temperatures continue dangerous conditions of blistering heat and humidity. Good morning and welcome to Weather Center, sponsored by Chevrolet. I'm Heather Tesh.
And I'm Mark Mancuso. Air conditioners will be working overtime in the Northeast and part of the Mid-Atlantic regions. Some electric companies are warning customers to conserve power or face rolling blackouts. And a sample of what some of you will face. New York City will be hot and muggy. Temperatures in the mid-90s. Boston will sizzle with highs near 100 degrees. The heat will extend into the eastern Great Lakes. Cleveland will be around 90. Orlando in Florida will be in the upper 80s with a shower or thunderstorm possible. I'll have more on the stormy outlook. But first, Heather looks at the rising temperatures ahead for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic today.
And the temperatures are climbing, and it is going to be very uncomfortable for many folks. This is one of those days when if you have a neighbor that doesn't have a fan or air conditioning, you may want to check on them, because the temperatures are going to be soaring well into the 90s and even into the 100s for places like Newark and Washington, D.C. Add to that the humidity, and it'll feel very uncomfortable. Heat indices up to 100, about 105 degrees in places like Philadelphia, New York, Boston. So real serious stuff here in the Northeast. Now compare that to the Northwest, where we have temperatures that are much cooler than average. In fact, we're looking at temperatures in the Northwest, say 10 to 25 degrees below average. In the Northeast, we're looking at those temperatures 10 to 25 degrees above average for this time of the year. So very hot. We have dangerous heat indices that are going to be in effect for this afternoon. And today is the second day, because remember yesterday we also had some of the record heat around. And here are just some of the record highs that we had. Newark, 99 degrees for you. Baltimore, Maryland, 96 degrees. And in fact, in Baltimore, some of the schools closed at 12:30 yesterday because of the heat. There is a policy for schools to close when temperatures hit 90 degrees by 11 a.m. We could hit that once again today, and already we have some, or I should say not some delays, but actually some schools that are going to close early in Anne Arundel County, that's south of Baltimore, and south of there in Prince George's County. We're also going to see some of the schools closing about 2 hours early today with no afternoon kindergarten. And already you can see the temperatures around Baltimore and Washington are well into the 70s, close to 80 degrees. So it won't be too hard to reach that 90-degree mark by 11 o'clock. So certainly something to be aware of. If you're sending your kids off to school, you may need to have some alternative plans for where they can go this afternoon if you are going to be working or away from your house. 77 in New York right now, 76 in Boston. Here's a look at the dew points, and the dew points are in the 60s and the 70s. Whenever we see the dew points in the 60s and the 70s, you know it's going to be sticky and uncomfortable. You add that to the heat, and it is going to be very uncomfortable. And check out these temperatures. If you're not looking at your screen right now, come on in and check this out, because we are going to see these temperatures from Boston to New York to Philadelphia well into the upper 90s. In Washington, D.C., we're going to see that temperature around 100 degrees today. Again, keep in mind it's going to feel hotter than that because of the humidity that is around. And if you are outdoors today, make sure you take some extra care. If you're inside, make sure that you have your air conditioning running if it's available. Stay at the lowest floor, stay out of the sunshine, drink plenty of fluids. Of course, avoid alcoholic beverages. If you're going to be outside, drink plenty of fluids, even if you don't feel thirsty, and certainly wear a hat as well, and make sure you take care of your pets as well. Eat small, frequent meals. By the way, we do expect more record heat for today, and we can take a look at some of the cities that we are expecting the records. Here's a look at what we're forecasting. You can see the record for Boston is 97, but we expect it to reach about 99. New York City, the old record 95, we expect it to reach 98. And Newark 101, that'll break the old record. Washington, D.C. 100. So certainly nothing to fool around with today. Now right now in Minneapolis, your temperature is 70 degrees. We have 70 in Chicago, 71 right now in Des Moines. And we will see temperatures in Minneapolis up to about 85, Chicago about 89. In the south, warm conditions, but certainly folks a little more used to this, and not as hot in the south as what we're going to see in the Northeast. 89 for Atlanta, 90 for New Orleans, 92 for Dallas. And now Mark's going to talk about some of the stormy conditions we can expect today.
Thank you, Heather. And on a historical note, this might make you feel a little bit better in the Northeast. On this date, 1816, Danville, Vermont, famous June snow, sleet drifted to 20 inches. Waltham, Massachusetts had a low of 33 degrees, so think about that. Might make you feel a little bit better. Those cooler temperatures for the Northeast about a day away, but there could be some storms in the region as our northwesterly flow will be pushing a front from Canada down through the northeastern United States. Out ahead of this trough, we have seen a couple of thunderstorms pop up this morning, but we expect more storms with this front as it eases southward this afternoon to far northern New York and northern and central New England. So this is the main threat for severe weather. Farther south, we don't really paint in very much, and the thinking is it'll just be a little bit too much in the way of dry air. As we show you the latest lightning data, well, you can see those scattered storms exiting the Maine coast and looking off to the west along that trough, a lone thunderstorm popping up just to the west of Columbus. As we show you the radar from the northeast, everything cruising right along in that northwesterly flow here. Here's Boston. Looks like most of the day should stay dry. Chance for an afternoon storm, especially north of the Mass Pike. There you see storms headed off the coast of Maine. And as we take you to Ohio, a lot of radar trash, but this is the real thing. And there you see on I-70 west of Columbus, some scattered storms. They'll be drifting southeastward this morning. As we take you down to the south, well, the active weather continues to be in the eastern Gulf. The upper low with lightning around it is pulling up tropical moisture into South Florida, where it has been very wet the past 24 hours. Here you see the rain again on the radar blossoming here from just south of Lake Okeechobee, right over to West Palm and down the coast from Boca Raton to Fort Lauderdale to Miami. And as we get in ultra close, where you see the dark green and the yellows, this is where it's really pouring. So there'll be a lot of problems on I-95, the Florida Turnpike, and A1A as you head on into work. And over the past 24 hours, look at all the rain. We've seen 2-3 inch type rains here. Lastly, we take you to the northern plains. Clusters of strong to severe storms have erupted overnight. Most significant storms now are here in East River, South Dakota, Spinks County, severe thunderstorm warning, everything rolling east at about 35 miles an hour. So as we take a look at your forecast, beware of the storms in the northern plains and in northern and central New England. In the south, mostly dry and warm. South Florida, again, inundated with the rains. But in between, trouble.
Trouble. We are going to see very hot conditions in the northeast. We'll have more on that coming up.
Travel Lines, right after your local forecast. Stay tuned.
This program was sponsored by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust.
Right now, you can lease a two-wheel drive Chevy Tracker for less lira, less coronas, less yen, less dirhams, and less bucks. Anywhere you go, any way you count it. Lease the agile and durable all-new Chevy Tracker for a lot less moolah. In fact, for only $189 a month. Call toll-free for lease details. See your Chevy dealer today for this special lease offer. The all-new Chevy Tracker. It gets around.
I worry too much. Merging two bank networks, but it wasn't a problem. AT&T nailed that. They really helped us connect our customers, trading partners, and everyone's together in real time. Now we can give service on demand. Very cool. Our revenue is going to go sky high. I like worrying about that.
AT&T Net.Working to make your business succeed. Here's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Later in the morning, 45 minutes later, in the back of the near backyard, now at the back door, now at the front door, at the front of the front yard.
Here's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Looking for a place to cool off in parts of the Northeast again today as the temperature soars into the 90s. Hello, I'm Dan Atkinson, and welcome to this edition of Weather Center.
And I'm Nick Walker. You're getting drenched again across parts of Florida, and the chilly weather continues in the Northwest. More about that coming up, but first, the eastern heat wave, and boy, has it been hot today. We have record highs once again. Washington, D.C., 98 degrees, 97 for Newark, New Jersey, Baltimore at 97 degrees, Raleigh, Durham checking in with 96, 95 for a new record at Philadelphia, and also at the other airport there, Washington, D.C., 95 degrees. It's been a warm and steamy rush hour in New York City, too, and that's where Karen Chase is standing by with a live report. Karen.
Yes, good afternoon. It only got up to 91 degrees here in New York City. Not a record, but we certainly felt the heat. A number of schools closed early, kids went home early, and in Wallingford, Connecticut, 45 kids collapsed at a school assembly. 20 were taken to a hospital. So again, it didn't break any records, but it certainly was eventful.
Very much, Karen. Take it easy. Get lots of water. I tell you, it's going to be another rough one as we get through the afternoon hours, and maybe even tomorrow before we begin to see this cool down, everything in place for this downslope wind, things heating up, and really still the worst may yet to come for much of the Northeast as we get into the afternoon and the evening hours. Here are our current temperatures. 91, as Karen mentioned, in New York City, Philadelphia at 95, and Washington, D.C. at 96, and it feels even warmer in some cases. You factor in the humidity, and you've got 93 at New York, 102 at Philadelphia, 98 at Washington, D.C. Note the cooler temperatures up toward the north. Things are cooling down there, and the dew point's not quite as high in many areas, but there are the dew points, and they are ripe in some cases for some thunderstorm development. We've had some of that this afternoon. Now remember, if you're indoors, and let's hope you are indoors and are able to stay indoors with air conditioning, but if air conditioning is unavailable, stay on the lowest floor, out of the sunshine. Drink plenty of fluids, even if you don't feel thirsty. Avoid alcohol. Eat small, frequent meals, and protect your pets by keeping them indoors too. Don't forget about them. We do have this system that's moving across parts of Maine, and it is bringing some thunderstorms, severe at times, and we'll continue to see the threat of that throughout into the evening. Temperatures are warm all the way down into parts of the south. We're at 90 degrees at Charleston, 90 at Birmingham, 91 is Jackson's current temperature, and Dallas reporting 90 degrees as well. Warm in the Midwest. We're talking about 90s in some cases. 93 is Cincinnati's current temperature. We're at 90 back at Goodland and 91 at Scotts Bluff. But up toward the north, things a bit more bearable. 83 degrees at Minneapolis and International Falls at 78. We had some record lows in the west this morning. Klamath Falls with 25 and Bend, Oregon at 26 degrees. Yakima checked in with 33. Eureka, California, 40 degrees. Mountain View, California, tied its old record with 46. And Oakland, 49 degrees there. That's where the cool weather is. That's where it's going to be for a little while longer. Currently, we have only 58 degrees at Boise, Medford, 55 at Portland, and 56 at Seattle. It's been cool enough in the mountains to cause a little bit of snowfall. Down around Stevens Pass, you've seen just a few flakes as you've been driving through there. But down toward the south, you're looking at warmer temperatures. Still maybe not quite as warm as what you would normally have at Phoenix this time of year, but 92 degrees, a far cry from what they're seeing in the northwest. It has been a wet cool in the northwest. All of the cool, damp air back there, and warm and muggy air here in parts of the east, and very warm in many cases. We want to talk more about the precipitation and the areas that are getting some severe weather. Let's go to Dan for that.
And thanks a lot, Nick. Notice we have severe weather possibilities over portions of the northern tier of states, and particularly we're on the alert for possible tornadoes in this zone. The red box indicating a tornado watch in effect for portions of western North Dakota. If you're watching us in northwestern South Dakota, you're in the watch area, as well as southeastern Montana, areas around Carter County, for example. And a severe thunderstorm watch continues in effect for portions of eastern Iowa, neighboring Minnesota and Wisconsin. Notice the backside of this watch area has been whittled away as you now have more stable conditions over western Iowa. And another severe thunderstorm watch in effect for portions of New England, primarily over portions of down east Maine. It's still rather unsettled conditions around Bar Harbor, Maine. The reason for the stormy weather in the northeast is a backdoor front dropping on down. Nick was showing you the unseasonably warm to hot conditions across much of the northeast, but it's rather cool back over Caribou and other points in northern Maine where temperatures are in the 60s. And another battle front is this warm front back in the Midwest. We'll check that out on radar in just a moment. But first off, a view of the showers and occasional thunderstorms now still firing up across portions of Maine. And as noted, some of the heavier weather in the past hour has been around Bar Harbor with a special marine warning in effect in that area. Taking a look toward the Minnesota-Iowa border, here is northernmost Iowa, southern portions of Minnesota. Thunderstorms continue to develop and become strong and produce some large hail. We've seen reports of at least 1-inch hail as these storms move on off toward the east. And they're getting not only into southern Minnesota, but also northern Iowa, into portions of southwestern Wisconsin occasionally, and on into western portions of Illinois. Carroll County, Illinois, continuing under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. At this hour, this moment, no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for these cells in Iowa, but shifting our focus toward Missouri, Chariton County in Missouri, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Prepare for the possibility of some damaging wind gusts in excess of 55 miles per hour. Large hail, destructive hail, deadly lightning, and very heavy rainfall. And although not on this radar, I want to mention briefly a severe thunderstorm warning in effect as well for Brown County in south central Ohio. That cell moving slowly toward the south, and the warning in effect for another 5 to 10 minutes. Conditions have been unsettled along the Gulf Coast. A lot of moist, unstable tropical air in place. In fact, today around noon, Central Daylight Time in Houston, a brief tornado touchdown and flattened part of a warehouse. You have had conditions favorable today, not for widespread severe weather, but for funnel clouds, tropical funnels and waterspouts and so forth along the Texas coast. And if you should see one of those funnel clouds, certainly to keep an eye on it. If it should descend, it could stay on the ground for a few minutes and maybe do some damage. But they're not the sort of thing that would be easily detectable on radar, and consequently there's not much likelihood of any warning being given. So around the Houston area and other points along the Texas coast, keep an eye to the sky today. It's been unsettled around Arkansas with thunderstorms firing up occasionally to severe levels. And taking a closer look at Houston, the rain is scattered all the way from the Piney Woods on down toward Palacios and back toward College Station. Better news across South Florida, where the rain is diminishing, at least pushing on off toward the east and giving you a chance to dry out a bit in places like Pompano, where over the last 30 hours you have had better than 10 inches of rain. And speaking of weather over wet Florida, we also have had some wet weather over eastern portions of Montana with unsettled conditions there, occasionally firing up some isolated strong thunderstorms over eastern portions of Montana, and there is some snow falling in the higher elevations of the Washington Cascades. Let's check out the forecast. Here's Nick.
Well, as we continue to get into the afternoon and evening hours, we'll see this cooler air here clash with all this warm, muggy air on this side of the front, and we'll continue to see the threat of more showers pop up. Also, showers up here along this backdoor front, continuing to drop southward and cooling things off, but getting things very damp in the process. We're looking at southern Florida, actually central Florida, on out into the Gulf. Some chances of rain there, and that will continue on into toward tomorrow morning, with some stretching all the way to the Texas Gulf Coast. This front will move northward as the low moves northward along with it. We'll continue to see some showers moving up into Canada, but the threat of more rainfall continues on into early evening as the front pushes a little bit more toward the east. In the east, we'll continue to see cooler weather, and that will be good news for a lot of folks really needing the cool down. But of course, you may have to pay the price with some thunderstorms in some areas in the northeast. You see the cooler weather coming, and high temperatures tomorrow should be